Hi everyone, Brent Graham here. You're watching Good for the Game TV, and in this brief show, I'm just going to take you through my projected handicaps for the Currie Cup semi-finals taking place next week, Saturday, the 20th of October. The reason I'm coming out so early with this, I always start a thread on the Good for the Game forum with my handicaps before the bookmakers come out, because I want to get my thoughts down before they come out, and that way, if there's a big difference between what the bookmakers reckon and what I reckon, I've got a decision to make. I either place a big bet, or alternatively, I acknowledge the fact that I'm wrong and the bookmakers are probably closer to the mark. Let's see how this week goes, though. We've coming off a big weekend of punting. I bet on plenty of Currie Cup and European Champions Cup rugby. Pleased to say overall I managed to come out with my head just about on top, but it certainly was one of those weekends that were fairly stressful and a bit disappointing in the final match, where I was quite big on Bulls under 27.5 points. That game, in fact, finished at half-time due to bad weather, and all of the 80-minute bet markets were void. Had a lot of queries from punters and that on Twitter about that, and unfortunately, that's the situation. If you were Western Province minus backer, or if you were low on Bulls points or the like, unfortunately, you just have to take that one on the chin. Much the same as those who won the Bulls plus can certainly feel that they got out of jail there. I'm going to share the screen. Let's have a look. First of all, just quickly skim through the results. What happened today? I'm going to go onto my favorite Wikipedia page, and let's go through the weekend results quickly. Pumas 21-33. That's Lions by 12. This is very close to where the handicap was. You could have, depending at what time of the week you backed, you could have got plus 13.5 Pumas, but you also could have got minus 10.5 Lions. So there was a nice middle there. I went Lions over 33.5 points. No idea how they didn't score another try in the last 10 or 15 minutes or so. Sharks Griquas, I did manage to win on that game. I went under 66.5 points based on conditions. Well, the conditions cleared up well. I was fortunate that the Griquas managed to defend quite well in the second half. And then Bulls Province, well, we won't talk about that one any further, because unless you placed half-time bets, or unless your bets were settled by half-time, unfortunately, all of those bets were void. Let's go up to the table to see how things finished off. We had Western Province, the Sharks, the Lions, and the Bulls. Something that I've never seen before on a table of this nature is, if you look here in the win column, you've got 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And even in the points difference column, they go down in order. And what that really shows us is that there hasn't been any upsets in this tournament, really. The favourite is generally one on each occasion. And if you had to take the Pumas, for example, they've won 2 games, and the 2 teams they've beaten are below them on the table. The Lions have won 4 games. The 4 teams they've beaten are below them on the table. So quite fascinating, really, that every game has sort of panned out according to form, and be interesting to see if that carries on into the semi-finals. Just to quickly skim down again and have a look at the fixtures for this weekend. We've got Province against the Bulls at Newlands, and the Sharks against the Lions at Kings Park. I'm now going to take you onto the Good for the Game website. This is the Good for the Game forum, goodforthegame.co.za. You click on GFTG forum. It'll take you through. You see, I've got a thread here ready to go. I'm going to just zoom a little bit here, make it probably a little bit easier to read. I've got a thread here that's ready to go with my projected handicap, and let's take you through that for now. Western Province up against the Bulls. Well, I mean, Province were leading 34-7 at halftime today at Loftus, but the Bulls just didn't rock up for that at all. But still, Province have been really strong this season, particularly at home. I think they've beaten the handicap in all 6 matches. They've had some convincing victories at home. So I'm projecting here that the bookmakers are going to come around about 19.5 points. I don't know, though, if that will be enough. In fact, at a level of 19.5, I've got to tell you, I'll probably be looking to back Province. They've just looked in a class of their own. I'll also be watching, out of quite a bit of interest, what the outright markets are going to look like. There was 8 to 10 Western Province going into this weekend. I've no doubt that will be something of the past. But gee, if they were even to offer me 7 to 10 or so, I would probably climb into Western Province at this point. I just cannot see them getting beaten. The Bulls were very disappointing, playing at home at Loftus in admittedly wet Loftus, terrible conditions. But it's just hard to see them turning things around against Province. And Province's pack were just so dominant. And that surprised me a bit. Not really the tight fight dominance, but, the Bulls had a decent loose trio there, but Province were all over them. And I can see nothing but a comfortable Western Province victory. I'm projecting an opening handicap from the bookmakers here of 19.5 points. Or a handicap, in that sort of region. The Sharks, Lions, the Lions, of course, met earlier this season in Durban, with the Sharks winning by 16 points, 37-21. I'm expecting it being a playoff game. The bookmakers might give the Lions some credit here. The Lions did beat the Pumas quite easily on the weekend, although personally I wasn't impressed with that performance. The Sharks, they weren't perfect in their match against Griquas, but they did deliver very, very comfortably on the handicap in the end. And I'm projecting a handicap here of Sharks minus 10.5. Must be honest, once again, I'll probably be on the minus if that is how the bookmakers price up. So what I've tried to do here is see where I think the bookmakers are going to go. If, for example, they come out Western Province minus 14.5 or something, that will certainly be a signal for me to get involved. But I don't think we're going to get that fortunate early on in the week. Well, that's it then. It's a big week of rugby ahead. We've obviously got things like the Champions Cup, which has actually still got some games to play on Sunday. You can go on to the Good for the Game forum. We'll have some tips on that. But as far as the YouTube goes, we'll have the GG Gaming show. That will be on Thursday night at 8:30. And, of course, our flagship rugby show, The Handicap, where I'll be joined by a panel of rugby punters. We look ahead to the weekend's rugby, which will, of course, focus on the Currie Cup semi-finals. I'm not sure if the Bledisloe Cup game's this weekend. I think it's probably the weekend after that. But we'll also have a look at the European competition now that we've got a week under the belt to have a look at some form there. I've got to tell you, a winning bet I did place on the weekend was Leinster, over 31.5 points in running. That was with a Sunbet on Friday night. I was chasing a bit after the Pumas loss. And I must say, one of the most complete rugby performances I've ever seen. This Leinster side are going to be incredibly hard to beat, and it'll be interesting to see how they go on the road against Toulouse. Thanks for joining me, though. I look forward to seeing you on the Good for the Game forum or on Twitter at Brent Graham, and let's hope we can make the bookmakers pay this weekend.